Anyways, so I'm going to stop here because I want to show Jill and how wonderful she did and she is, and what a gift she is to both our community and her own family. And I want to say thank you to whoever this guy is, the going all in guy, because he has such a great mixture of comprehension, especially for people who are trying to figure it out. And I don't know about y'all, but when I'm trying to figure something out, I really don't like people who tell me there's only one way and I'm the only one that knows. That makes me very uncomfortable because, I'm trying to figure something out. I would like options so that as a normal person with creativity, critical thinking, I can be like, that's a little extreme. That's a little too woo woo. That's a little too, oh, hey, look at that. And that is what I feel that this Going All In X channel provides. There's just a lot of it, and I'm not doing a good job showing it because I'm be scrolling wrong or whatever. So let's go ahead and listen to our superstar in our community, all hidden away, Jill Woodworth from Jill Woodworth Talks. Share the right one, yeah.
Jill, hey, good morning.
Good
Welcome.
morning.
Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Yeah. We
Good.
got snow here in Massachusetts this morning, so
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's
it's that time of year.
so I'm wondering in the April timeframe, and I'm trying to think. I lived in Vermont, not in Vermont. I lived in New Hampshire for about a year
Oh,
when
okay.
my daughter was first born, and I finally got to understand really what mud season meant because I grew up in Pennsylvania, and so there wasn't necessarily a mud season like southern
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. So, March was kind of but after that it kind of got dried out and whatever. But I think so is Massachusetts, is the mud season go well into May, so you
Oh,
get
yeah.
snow
Yeah.
up until then? Okay.
Well, I'd say we don't get snow in May, but and it's not going to stick. It's just a
Right.
little temperature fluctuation, and yeah, whatever they're doing up there to the weather. Whatever.
I hear you. I hear you. Well, that's a good introduction, probably, to say this is the first time you and I have talked here. We've chatted a little bit beforehand, but I think this is going to be the start from my side of, many episodes. We'll come back in, have, you as a recurring guest here. I'm happy to go on your podcast as well. I know you're wanting
Awesome.
to get that spun up. So thank you for the
Sure.
willingness and for the trust.
Well, I
Um,
appreciate it. I'm
yeah,
honored to be on your podcast.
thank you. So I've seen some of the videos that you certainly posted on X, and I've watched them. What I like to do when I'm talking with other people is to ask you to introduce yourself in the way that you want to. Meaning, where's Jill at right on April 8th today, and what do you want people to know about the audience that'll watch us here? Tell us about you.
Oh, that's a loaded question. Oof.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, right now, I'm not really, like I shared with you, I kind of got stalled out with podcasting.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law moved in with us and ended up passing. So, this is it's kind of a side story, but just briefly, we bought this house. Well, my partner bought it. And, our plan was to move her in and care for her instead of sending her to a nursing home. Well, yeah, that didn't work out quite the way we had planned, but it was one of those things, and I really needed to honor the time, honor the
Yeah.
experience, and just kind of take a break from all the just rolling right back into podcasting or whatever. I'm a caregiver for my son who has a disability and his guardian, and so that's kind of my job, and I have two other kids that have some level of need that I kind of supervise and oversee some of their care, and
Yeah.
um, but that's my day job, and then I have been a podcaster. Well, I did a podcast back in 2015, 16
Okay.
about
Yeah.
the condition that my kids have, and I talked to other parents and kind of wandered my way out of the allopathic medical system. Woke up to a lot. Kind of was my awakening guideline. The doing podcasting kind of has led me through like a lot of awarenesses and many awakenings or whatever.
Okay, I want to pause here and remind everyone watching this live right now. This is a mom, a caregiver, a Heartfire warrior, a real woman doing real, loving care in the world. Our channel has a massive amount of people that resonate exactly this way. They are now caring for people, including children, that are disabled now from this medical testing so you could get your donut. But they are not the only ones. We also have a bunch of them from your TI people. And then we have a bunch of them, for whatever reason, that don't have anything to do with that. But they could always feel their body. And then about 6-7 years ago, or even 10, things got weird. And so it's an awakening in what's going on. Same type of folks. And where you find even, caring, empathetic, critically thinking, creative folks are in places like this. I'm going to go do some podcasts with other parents whose children or themselves share what's going on with my family and my children. And we're going to communicate at the level of our Heartfire. We're going to communicate for healing, the real kind. Not throw some pills at it. Oh, that didn't work? Cut it open. Oh, that didn't work? Throw more pills at it. Blame it. Yell at it. Oh, that didn't work? Because that's what we've gotten out of our white coats for many years. Cancer, the endless, it's an autoimmune disorder, it's all your fault. Well, that's amazing. You're hiding human anatomy from humans that has a 10-year physiology that you're using for yourselves that's disrupting the electrical homeostasis of the body. That's the way that cells communicate, that electrical homeostasis. I'm just electrocuting you just a little under the skin. It ain't no big thing. Yeah, it is. And that's just the beginning. So a lot of people, like Jill just explained, the way that they've found my channel at all has nothing to do with the technical. It has to do with the fact that the body is electrical. They already know that. And some of them have interfaced with so many doctors and specialists worldwide. Yeah, because it's a physiology. It's comprised of human biology. And the liver regenerates, bones regenerate, and yet we're all told, it's the Kundalini snake! So our channel is on a mission. Becca, I know you're not here right now, but as you would say, Becca, I'm on a mission from God. So this channel is on a mission in order to help other humans understand. Yo, you're missing me. It's a real thing. I'm sorry. It's the aura. Nah, it's your human biofield. And they're using it wirelessly, remotely. And every time we try to talk about it, they just want to scare the living whoop out of people and make them more sick. Because when you disrupt the electrical homeostasis in the body, your big chunk of water don't do what it wants to do. All right? So, with all that being said, it is an honor to have so many parents, caregivers, naturopaths, what'd you say, allopath or something like that? All these different people who carry in all this different wisdom to our channel. That's also why I don't tell nobody what to do. I trust them. A bunch of them know a lot more than me.
Whatever you want to call it. So right now, I about a year ago, my Facebook got hacked, and
Oh no.
yeah, big time. Really, really scary experience. But I can't get back on Facebook at all. That's where I was mainly, where I had, a big support network for all kinds of stuff. Totally gone. So I started doing a little podcast called Conversations with Friends, with the people that I'd, kind of lost touch with on Facebook. And that kind of petered out when my mother-in-law passed, but I couldn't get back to it. So right now I'm kind of in limbo, and I really, I I kind of met you through posting about Sabrina Wallace's stuff, I think.
Yeah.
And she's been a real influence on my understanding of just what's going on right now, or what's been going on for years and
Right.
years that we're kind of coming to. And what was I going to say about that? And and it helped me find a lot of cohesion with my own experience in the system, in various systems. So
Yeah.
it's been great. It's been great to take the time to just not put do any real podcasting and kind of lurk on everybody else's stuff.
Right.
So that's about it. That's where I'm at. And I'm kind of a social media person that really wants to reach out to anybody really, but parents, caregivers, special needs, that area. Though they don't like me very much because I don't stick with the traditional the mainstream medicine, but
Right.
people are coming out of that and just validating their experiences in the system, while at the same time, you can be involved because in a lot of ways, many people are. We're not going to just jump out of it, and also that there's this whole other, we've been programmed and we've been just held back. And
It's really important, folks, what she says there about we're not just going to jump out of the system. That's true. And even with all this, they're making transitions. There's still things that people need, like insulin, okay? And I try really hard to show whatever benefits that I find of some of these systems. I'm very honest about that. Why? I've been disabled for 20 years. I have a caregiver for 19 years. Okay. I come from the many spoon community, the chronic pain community. We are some of the strongest people, genetically, emotionally, physically, mental tenacity. We are strong. That's why we're here. Because we're not afraid. Tell you, when you lose the ability to walk for 9 months, fear is no longer in the picture. My children were 14 and 15. The option was, I'm going to heal this and get up. That's it. Now, I didn't have anything in my head different because I knew I could heal it if I could feel it. And that's why so many of these medicines they put people on do the exact opposite. You can't feel your own body. That covers up all the messages in your nervous system that are trying to naturally oscillate and work together. Just getting started. It's why they'd work so hard to keep you afraid of your own skin, called the somatoform. It's why it's so important for those of us, as I said, Jill's experience here has got depth. She has a range. We have a ton of people like this. And this is the type of strength that we're going to need going forward, no matter what they do. So I'm very honored to have people like Jill here in our community. And I hope that every single one of you watching right now, that whatever it is, health condition wise, that you are battling like the warrior you are. I hope that you can extract some wisdom from some of these other folks. I'm going to let this play a little bit more, and then we're going to get into Reiki.
I don't know, just kind of encouraging people to validate their own lived experience. We all have expertise that we've been taught.
Yep.
Doesn't matter, but
it does.
Kind of like everybody matters.
Yes,
that's my mantra.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And even in the couple minutes that you've been mentioning, and I don't use the term too much, but a lot of people have emotion. I have it in this, like goosebumps, but the different term for it. So
yes,
I'll say a few things. You talked about cohesion and the time that it takes you to do things, and yes, I can understand for you it might feel like stops and starts as far as, well, I needed to do this, I needed to change, course correct. I'm a big believer that timing is perfect, meaning there were reasons why you felt you needed to do that, especially being a caretaker like you are in the here and now, and even with your mother-in-law, I think you said. And you taking those steps back, I believe very much it was you protecting your energy for the time that it was. It is not a coincidence that you and I are talking now and will continue my feelings on it. And you can call it a revival or a restart. I think you've been preparing the entire time along for not just this conversation, but just in general. So I can't wait to dig in.
Thank you.
One moment before I continue here. What he just said is something I learned in a seminar that was Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, Empathy First, produced, about $4,000 for communication for diplomats going to other countries, professors at places like UCLA. And I was there on student invitation at the time. And what he said right there about how you're right where you need to be. Now, other people have heard that from that book, The Secret, Oprah. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that what he said about the time that she took to do what she needed to get where she is now. Oftentimes, when we move through life, we are hard on ourselves because we assume, based on other people's judgments or other societal norms, that we're supposed to be somewhere else. Here was the example that they opened this $4,000 seminar retreat thing with. They said, let's say that you're a student and you're going to see your professor, and you end up being 30 minutes late in traffic. And then they stopped, the person who was explaining at the head of the group, and they looked at all of us and they said, how many of you, raise your hand, would immediately feel guilty, anxious, and stressed because you're late? And almost, a bunch of people raised their hands because all of us, you got to be on time. Okay, well, he said, now you get there as the student and you find out that your professor has been working with another student and you end up sitting in the waiting room for another 10 minutes after you get there. And then the professor comes out and says, oh, thank you so much. The student came in, there was a problem, blah, blah, blah. And now I had more time to work with them. Thank you for your patience. Now, what are you feeling? Wow, I'm relieved, and it wasn't a big deal. When you're in the flow, this is how it was presented to this retreat. Empathy first. When you're in the flow of life, you're right where you need to be. Every time. This is why being able to feel your heart, brain, gut coherence, that would be your central nervous system for people who are averse to terminology that they ascribe to New Age theology. And it is not. It is physiology and neurology. Now, what you want to put on top of it after that, that's your personal choice. But it is physiology and neurology. You have more neurons in your heart than you do in your head. Your body is vibrating with everything around you all the time. You're focused on getting to that appointment, for example. But instead of being hard on yourself, chastising yourself, instead of constantly bringing yourself down, when you learn to trust yourself, you're going to find the world is a much more beautiful and amenable place. That Bruce Lee's comment about flow like water, because it's very real. And as you continue that flow, that is what will spring up around you. By the magnetics of how you're living your life and walking around, that is the type of experiences, or those are the type of experiences that you will bring more into your biofield concurrence. And that's because of your neurons and different things that oscillate versus all these other societal norms, expectations, and basically stress. You don't need that. So what this very wise man whose feet I was trying to show you, what he's explaining there to her about, hey, you're right where you need to be. As soon as I heard him say that 7 minutes in here, that's when I paused right here and I'm like, who are you? Whoa, because that is a lot of wisdom. And the people that were at this retreat, as I mentioned, international diplomats, not only for State Department types, but I'm serious, but also companies that wanted their people to go overseas and be able to interact appropriately. And it's empathy first communication, because when you don't speak someone else's language, your situational awareness has to be sharpened. You have to hone not only the inflection of your tone, but your active listening skills Now, on Jill's side, as a caregiver, whether for a child, another adult, whomever, when there are medical problems, you're using the same active listening, laser focused situational awareness, because traditional medical methods or healing acuity is not working for the person that you are trying to help. It's a different application of the same empathy first communication. And in my opinion, this is what people need to resonate with in order to communicate with others at the level of their comprehension with the times we're living in. So thank you to whoever that guy is.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Don't mean to cut you off. I do that
No,
from time to
you're
time.
good. It's and I love that your show was Conversations with Friends, and will be, and mine that I named was Conversations in Higher Vibrations. I like that because the term podcast sounds commercial. So, and anyone who watches a lot of these videos, I say that too much. So at some point I'll let go of it. I'll just jettison it and just, start talking right off the top. You mentioned Sabrina Wallace's content, which I've watched too, probably not nearly as long as you have. And, some of what led me to want to start talking with many people over many type of topics is that, and it was especially during this time over the past year of X, that posting on X and doing things, I kind of went through probably a similar, growth pattern for that some people could find resonating, that you kind of jump on the things that are the travesties of the world, and you start trying to wake people up in that way and educate them. And to at some point in time, I kind of started to feel hollow of just like reporting the news of what was happening, and isn't this awful? And it's not to ignore those things, but even like Sabrina Wallace's content that you and I kind of, sort of align on a lot. If you listen to it, I think with the kind of ears of like, oh my gosh, this is terrible, and what are we going to do? And you kind of, you lose some type of hope. And that's not what I get from it. I love her style, but it's probably not everyone's style, but I enjoy it because I see where her heart fire is coming from. And I feel that within you too, of wanting to help people. Not all parents are going to want to listen to you. And I get that. Not everyone wants to be helped, but eventually some spark, Jill, that you put out into the ether is going to come back. Whether we know it or not, it's going to happen. So like I said, I appreciate you wanting to talk with me about that. Where you're at now as a, caregiver of, and how many children are you caregiver?
Well, really, my son and my daughter. So I'd say two.
Yeah.
One mainly that I'm guardian of. The other one is my other daughter is pretty capable. So
I understand.
Yeah.
So when you're either talking with them, and it might be a certain level that you share with them, and maybe not, the full gamut of stuff, because I know that's different with children. I've got kids of my own that some of them are a little more. Yeah, I've got 5. So
I'm 5 too, actually.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah. So so my wife and I are a blended family. She's got 3, I've got 2. Together we're almost a Brady Bunch. So
beautiful.
I've noticed that each of them have kind of a different level that they can sort of hear, what I have to say, and some of it's a little bit overloading. So you try to walk that gently. I also think by extension, you do that with, the parents that you may talk to, or just, people on the street, if you will, that you may try to share this with. So, the goal that I have, and I think you share this a lot, is that whatever moves people towards a higher vibration, not a particular vibration, just trying to move them in that direction.
Help them
for
grow.
Themselves, not just to listen to what we say, and now they just need to listen to this and only this and this.
Once again, very important level of comprehension, empathy first, heart fire, parents, caregivers. This is the bulk of our community. In the email, on the Telegram, whatever, wherever it may be, these are the people that make up the Synergy community. And I want this to be very clear. What he said there about, oh, here's the magic answer. You have to watch this one person. I don't like that. Me personally, I do not like that, because I'm not you. I'm not in your skin. I don't have your DNA. I don't live in your house. So when people do that to others, I hope that you can self-reflect and understand that no matter how much you believe, I believe that you have the magic answer. Are you living in their house? Do you have their DNA? Exactly. I hope not, or you're a clone. And that's why here in our community, you will hear people say, and I'm not offended, just so we're all clear, my style is not for everyone. Yep, that's true. We hope we leave some seeds. You hope that people spark and go, oh, that's what it is. And for the entire time that I've been online, I told people, do not email me, do not subscribe. You don't need me, you need you. And if you don't like listening to me, you don't need to watch more than one video. You don't even need to watch a video. Get the Techmetric PDF, take it to someone you trust, have a dialogue, a conversation, an exchange of information. That's all you got to do. And the reason that you're going to want to do that is because the primary bulk of what I talk about is physiological, not it's aliens, conspiracy. No, they have hidden human anatomy from other humans for about 100 years, give or take. And when I ask anybody from any stretch, whether it's the industry, the Galactic Federation, starseed types, lightworkers, IT people, doctors, whatever, I'm like, hey, I want a benevolent, positive reason why you're hiding human anatomy from other humans. Just one. Just give me one. Give me one positive. Benevolence means that there is a positive outcome that is measurable on the other side of this societal decision to keep this human anatomical disposition hidden from all humans. Come on, I want to hear it. You know what I get every time? Can you hear the crickets? Because human to human, everybody putting their pants on the same way in the morning, y'all. All of us can go sit out in the front porch, have some tea. Human to human. There is no benevolent reason to lie to people about their blood flow, their neurons, their internal organs. Duh. Every time. A little bit more.
This is the answer.
Right.
That's not the point. It's to try to help people think for themselves. And if this gets them there,
Yes.
great. They listen to a couple minutes, wonderful. And if they find that it's really helpful for them long term, wonderful too. I had a question I wanted. Thank you. I had a question I wanted to ask you about, kind of in that same frame. When you're talking with parents and even your own kids, and when the dialogue is open, meaning they're ready to kind of hear a little bit more, how do you try to frame that in a positive direction where they can kind of think for themselves, and where you can try to get some points across? How's that kind of worked, if you can kind of say what you were saying maybe on Facebook back in 2015, 2016, now 10 years later?
Oh boy.
Has that adjusted for you? How is that how's that approach gone?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good question. It's probably a lot of questions, but for me, because woof. Yeah, well, in 2015, my message was more supporting parents. Letting them share their like. It was actually specifically about the condition that my kids have, which is called tuberous sclerosis complex. It causes benign tumors to grow in the organs of the body.
Okay.
It's genetic, but a lot of it's genetic. There's spontaneous mutations. However you want to look at it, it's really complicated. It's very hard to escape the medical system with something like this and go. I will never know, because I was not aware of the duplicitous motives of, however you want to say it, the agenda of the mainstream medical system at that time when I started the podcast. So really having, listening to the trauma of parents, like I would have parents come on and it was like 10 questions about your journey, and people just would pour their story out to me of getting this diagnosis and how their life changed, and but always at finding the silver lining of that and how it
Yeah.
the positives in it. That I really wanted to keep that focus because I was finding, it doesn't matter. I don't look at my kids or as any different as just having some challenges. Of course, I'm pissed off, and I can relate to Sabrina a ton when I
Yeah.
understand that there was a malicious agenda behind this, and it's not. I thought for so long that we're working towards good, we're moving forwards, and in some levels, many people are. It's just the whole structure of the system is not set up for that. So,
Right.
kind of being aware that my awareness of that has grown in exponentially in the last year, but since I'd say 2012, when I really, really woke up, that was my big awakening. And so, I guess to your question, how do I really just try to listen to people and encourage them to talk about whatever it is that they've gone through, and kind of like, wow, look at that. That's incredible. Like what not just the trauma pieces of it, because I do feel that's important to really get out and to talk about and to I use these words cohesion, integrate it, but I keep coming back to people don't know really give themselves credit. It might be a tragedy that you're living through, but that's the goal ultimately
Right.
that you're gonna, there's no other meaning to life in my, I believe in a creator, a loving creator, but I really believe we're here to learn those lessons. That the meaning of the deeper meaning of life is our hearts and
Right.
our connection with spirit, and we're just in these bodies for this time period, and they're sacred and they're wonderfully and beautifully made, but I just never ever been able to completely follow the traditional, like this external, so kind of turning things
Right.
internal with people, and
Yeah.
listening, and um, yeah, and people, a lot of people aren't quite ready in a lot of these special needs communities to hear some of the stuff. It's I've seen so many that are, and of course there's the autism uh, movement that's just grown hugely, and many people are very pissed off and whatnot. But so kind of integrating, but like you said, balancing the fact that we know there's these horrible things that have been done to us over years and years, and we're also sacredly and wonderfully made, um, at the same time. And so balancing both those, and just validating our lived experience, and yet not being afraid to call out the I don't want to swear on your podcast, but the
No, no,
utter
no. Go
the
ahead.
utter
This
fuckery of the system. You know,
So, no fear. Listening is loving. I typed it in the chat. That is what they opened with. That, like I said, whoever this gentleman is, his wisdom was what they opened with in that retreat. And listening is loving when you're holding space for someone and you're allowing them to mentally process with no judgment, no manipulation, just heart fire open communication with the goal that he spoke of, that they will move to a higher vibration of self calibration. That's important. Heart mind coherence with the gut, because that's part of your nervous system as well. And the more people that are connected within themselves, well, then the better off everybody is. Whether it's a group, a community, a team, whatever it might be, the stronger each individual is, the better off everyone else is. Critical thinking being encouraged, creativity and adaptive healing being encouraged requires education. Education, as we've all watched, has been very difficult because when you have people that don't want to talk about college textbooks, Pentagon directives, and they'd rather talk about the snake, we end up in a world of pain, suffering. That's because ignorance breeds that kind of stuff. So when you stay in a state of fear, and electrical resistance, you suffer. Okay? Fear is not what our community is about from the very beginning. I have always said, Mark 5:36, amen. Do not be afraid, only believe. And I also said that includes everybody. Believe in yourself, that you are wonderfully made, you are stronger than you realize. Then I bring you, 2 tons of white papers to battle back what seems to be preferred ignorance, which again, whatever. I would recommend to everyone, because she's going to now turn into the autism stuff and whatnot. And this is a phenomenal podcast. I'll put the link here on the live. And for all of you out there that you have children you're working with or caregivers or whatever, thank you for everything you do to be an incredible human.